Clouds hung heavy over the crags and fells as rain drizzled down on a miserably cold March day, as it generally does at funerals. It had taken over 2 weeks to reach this stage, with a post-mortem and inquest to be dealt with before the coroner was able to release the body for burial. Now Abbie stood holding her grandmother's arm at the graveside, marvelling at how composed she was. But then, she'd always been a strong woman, a no-nonsense sort of person who never made a fuss. What she must be suffering inside was no doubt a different story. The vicar gave a long address about how much Kate Myers had generously contributed to the church and community in her role as Secretary of the Mothers' Union and Treasurer of the Women's Institute, and by serving on the committee of the local Dr. Bernardo's home. Abbie knew nothing of this part of her mother's life, and despite herself, was deeply impressed. It was astonishing that Kate could manage to be so involved in such matters, on top of running the family handmade jewellery business. How sad, though, that it should take her death to reveal this charitable side of her nature. Yet, if she'd cared for children so much, why had she never shown any interest in meeting her own granddaughter? The presence of the children, in fact, brought a welcome blast of fresh air and gentle laughter into the sombre household as people gathered for the usual wake. Ignorant of the circumstances that had brought the family together, young Jonathan chatted away 20 to the dozen, telling anyone prepared to listen how excited he was to be starting school after Easter. 18-month-old Carrie didn't sit still for a second, happily poking into corners, emptying ladies' handbags, and pulling open every drawer and cupboard door she could get her small, chubby fists on. When her mother took her upstairs to put her down for her afternoon nap, she happily scattered Johnson's baby powder all over the bathroom floor. Abbie laughingly cleaned it up, while Faye attempted to put a nappy on the toddler, now indulging in a screaming tantrum. Oh, she's coming up to the terrible twos. I remember it well. Emma was just the same. Fortunately, at 6, she's now an absolute treasure. Skillfully folding and pinning the terry towel nappy in place, Faye said, "But something of an embarrassment still, I should imagine." "Why would she be? She's the joy of my life." "I mean, since your daughter is, well, what she is." Abbie instantly sobered. "You mean illegitimate?" Robert chose that moment to appear at the bedroom door.
"Don't attempt to deny it. I see no wedding ring in evidence. Admit it, Abbie. You've screwed up big time, and Ma has paid the price."
His words stunned her into silence for a whole half-minute. Abbie had been mildly startled by the sight of her brother after all this time, looking much older than his 28 years. There was already the odd fleck of grey in his brown hair, and he'd developed quite a paunch and signs of a double chin. Clearly, all those smart lunches he must attend as a successful accountant were beginning to have an effect, but his sense of self-importance was as evident as ever. Faye hastily pulled a pair of frilly plastic panties over the nappy, then shooed brother and sister out of the room so that she could settle Carrie for her nap. Robert and Abbie stood facing each other out on the landing with expressions as dark as thunder. "So you start on me the minute I arrive? Nice to see you too. Thanks for that, brother dear. Bit unfair, don't you think, to blame me when I've been living away from home for 7 years?
You can't deny you were responsible for her unhappiness."
"Oh, change the record, please," Carrie responded, keeping her voice low so as not to disturb little Carrie or reveal how upset she was. "Why would Mum suddenly decide now that she can no longer live with the shame of my scandalous teenage behaviour after all this time?"
Mother had become increasingly depressed recently, dwelling on the past a great deal. A visit from you might have cheered her. Even the odd letter would have helped.